everyone, welcome back to my channel, Ruffalo Reads. So today I have a tropes video for you guys, and it's tropes that I hate, but books that do it right. And now this is just a general statement. It's just tropes that some people hate, but all the books that I find do them right. So I haven't watched this video personally, but I'm sure it's been done before. I didn't create this idea. I just honestly was reading so many virgin heroines that I was like, okay, this is enough. Like, let's move on from this. Like, I want to film this video and like bring this up as a topic, I guess, of conversation. But if you know anybody that's filmed this video, please leave it below and share their video. I'd love to see it. So without further ado, let's get into all the books and all the tropes. So first trope I want to talk about, speaking of that, is virgin heroines. And now I just want to preface this by saying that I sat in front of my bookshelves staring around and I was like, why can I not find any virgin heroines? And I tried to like search for them like between books that I've read, and it was a lost cause. So for this one, I only have one, even though I feel like I actually have like at least 10. But with that being said, The Mistake by Elle Kennedy, she did the virgin heroine trope amazingly well in this, in my opinion. So this follows John Logan. He is a hockey star at Briar University. This is the second book in the off-campus series. He's like this party guy, like sleeps around with everyone. At the beginning of this, he's kind of obsessed or thinks he's in love with the guy from the first book's girlfriend. So he's kind of hung up on that. He's also hung up on the fact that he has a dead-end life set out for him after he graduates. Like, he wants to move on and do more things, but he really needs to help his dad after, and I won't spoil why, but that's a whole thing, so check trigger warnings maybe for that. He runs into Grace, who is our virgin heroine. She is kind of quirky, kind of like snarky. She's amazing. Oh, we love her. So they kind of meet on this like happenstance kind of thing and have a little hookup, not sex obviously, at the beginning, and then he kind of like backs away instantly, and she's like, oh my god, you're such an asshole. Basically, like, what did I do wrong? Like, okay. And he told her that he like loves somebody else, and she's like, wow, what the fuck? So, they kind of have this tiff for a good bit of the book where she like goes and travels overseas with her mom and is trying to figure out her own shit. And he grovels to the ends of the earth in this book. He fights for her until the very end, and I loved that aspect. I loved their dynamic. I loved what they overcame. I love what they saw from each other and how they helped each other. This was just so good. I highly recommend it. And yeah, that's my virgin heroine trope. So next trope that I have is marriage in trouble. So I personally actually love this trope. I think most of the books I've read with this trope I've really, really enjoyed. So, but I know some people hate it. So, and the books that I chose for this, I feel like are both controversial. So, take that with a grain of salt. It's just my opinion. But the first one is Sarah Hoggle's You Deserve Each Other. This is a traditionally published romance, marriage in trouble, of course. It's between Naomi Westfield and, oh God, what's his name? Nicholas Rose. So at the beginning of this, they're engaged, not married actually. So they're engaged, and she hates him. She wants to break it off with him, but they're in this kind of like battle of the wills because his family is mostly footing the bill for this, and if she backs out, I guess she'll be like financially responsible or something, and she can't afford that. And his mom is like the mother-in-law from hell, like Monster-in-Law, if you've seen that movie. Like, she's such a bitch, and she's that type of girl. So I won't get into the specifics of this and how, but they do like prank each other, battle with each other, fight with each other a lot. But they also I can't remember exactly, but they like try to come together to maybe battle against his mom or something. Like, I'm not sure, but they end up like coming together, and the resolve bleeds and dies, and like he buys a house for her and she takes it wrong at first, but then it's like this beautiful gesture. It's the perfect house. And I don't know, she like works at this little like quirky like flea market type of place. I don't know, like not flea market, but you know what I mean. And I don't know, it's just adorable. Like, they just end up being so cute together and like standing up for each other, and he like shovels the snow for her. I'm like not explaining this well at all. It's been a minute since I've read it, but I would highly recommend. I mean, it was a really fast read. It's not long at all. I would recommend it. So next book on my list, this one is, I haven't read it in a long time, so I don't know if I read it now how I would feel, because the content is iffy, but it's Tempting Fate by Jane Green. So there is cheating in this. There's emotional cheating and actual cheating. But so, okay, the main character, her name's Gabby. She's getting older. She's like doesn't pay attention to beauty like her friends, who like are so worried about like aging and how that's gonna make them look and everything. She's like just come to terms with it. But she's kind of like lost the spark a little bit with her husband, and he like got a vasectomy without telling her or asking her really. And I think she at least wanted the possibility of more kids. So I don't know. I think she goes to like a cooking class or something. Don't hold me to that. She goes to something and she meets this younger guy who like pays all this attention to her and like is kind of flirting with her, and she's like, huh, this feels nice. And they spark this friendship and then they have this long distance friendship for a while. Well, one day he shows up and things go down, and Gabby afterward feels extremely guilty. Now, during this whole thing, they do something that a lot of people don't like, and it's actually another trope that will come up, and things result from that. And it leads to a catastrophic like kind of climax where the husband and the wife and this guy actually have to all come to terms and make a decision for what's best for them, what's best for their relationship, and what's best for their family. Because Gabby and her husband's name's Elliot. They already have kids. I think they have 2 kids or something. So yeah, I'm doing a terrible job of explaining this because again, it's been a long time, and also I feel like I can't explain this without like completely spoiling it. So pick this up if you're okay with cheating, if you're okay with, I don't know, shadiness, I guess, kind of, and like a questionable heroine that's like, you know, she's not morally all there, but she's like going through her own journey and discovering like what she needs and what she wants. And like, yeah, maybe she's putting other people at risk or in harm's way because of it, kind of. Not like, you know, harm's way, but like mentally harm's way. But she needs to do that for herself. And does she go about everything the correct way? Of course not. But it's a book, and I don't know, it was highly entertaining for me. So I'd recommend if you're okay with that. So on to the next controversial trope. Oh my gosh, hold on, coffee break. So we have surprise pregnancy. I know that most people, I feel, hate this trope. I definitely don't hate it. I don't know if I love it, but I like it. I don't know. Maybe I just haven't read enough to where it's annoying to me, but I definitely don't mind it. So actually, let me talk about this one first. So we have The Friend Zone by Abby Jimenez, and this might be a spoiler, but I mean, this is an old ass book. Like, I'm sorry, but there's surprise pregnancy. Okay, so this one follows Kristen and Josh. I hate that name for a heroine. I'm sorry, I don't know why. I don't hate the name in general, but just like, anyways, that's irrelevant. Kristen's planning her best friend's wedding, and Josh is why is everybody named Josh? Like, anyway, names aside, sorry. I keep getting distracted, clearly. She's planning her best friend's wedding. Josh is the man of honor. They meet, and she has this little 4-pound Yorkie, and the little Yorkie like loves him, which is so cute. I actually have a Yorkie, so that's like so adorable to me. But so they like strike up this kind of friendship, and he's very protective over her, very sweet over her. She doesn't want to date anybody, and Josh is like very into her. He like wants this huge family, and she cannot have kids, or so she thinks. She has a medical condition to where having kids is extremely hard, and I think that's why her previous relationship broke up. So I think the thing that trips people up about this is that the entire book, it's talked about so much about how she struggles with that for whatever reason. She thinks she can't have kids, or she's told she can't have kids, and so they have all this banter back and forth, and towards the end, sorry, I feel like I'm spoiling it, but like, you have to know the trope. Okay, so towards the end, she does get pregnant, and I think that a lot of people get upset by this because it's like romanticizing people who have struggles with infertility and just being like, oh look, see, as long as you're like, you know, you fall in love, then it happens. Which obviously is not the actual case for a lot of people, maybe even most people, but it's a book, like I said, and I thought it was adorable. I've read other books by this author, and you know, now would I run to pick up an Abby Jimenez book? Not really. Anyways, this has surprise pregnancy, so if you don't like that, don't read it. If you don't mind it, I think it's cute. Give it a try. And then while that one was cute and adorable, this one is one of my absolute favorites lately. It's Taste by Melanie Harlow. I feel like I've talked about this book a bazillion times on my channel. This is between Ellie and Gianni Lupo. So Ellie is trying to land a catering like company for her restaurant that she owns or she helps run basically in their small town in Cloverleaf Farms, I guess. Gianni Lupo is like a famous chef. He was just on reality TV, like for chef reasons. Mostly though, because he's like, you know, hot and stuff. He's just like, it's like a reality show. So he's just like half naked on TV, like cooking. So she goes to this catering event, but he drives her because it's like this supposed to be this huge blizzard, and he's like, absolutely not. So they like hate each other. He like always picked on her as she was a child, and they were children. And he kind of thinks it's like all in fun. And she thinks that he's such an asshole to her. And she like, you know, is really upset by it. So they do get stranded in the Pineview Motel. Things go down. They do use a condom, but for the first like little bit of their encounter, they don't. And that results in a pregnancy. And the rest of the book is them, you know, figuring out how to be friends, figuring out how to be together. She is doing the whole like, no, you're not going to be with me just because I'm pregnant. Like, we hate each other. This is not going to be the case. Like, if you want to be in the baby's life, then that's fine. But I'm not going to be dating somebody that doesn't even like me. And he has to prove to her that he actually loves and is obsessed with her and has always been. And I love that. I absolutely love that. I love that he cooks like so amazing food. Like, my mouth was just watering. I love that she's so headstrong and snarky, and I love that she like broke down her walls and how soft she got because of everything that was going on. And I love seeing Winnie in this, her friend. She's from Irresistible, and how like sweet she was with her and like helping her along the way. And yeah, I would highly recommend. All right, next trope I have is cheating. So cheating, again, doesn't bother me so much in books. It depends. It depends for me, I should say. Like, I don't like it when there's cheating and it's like a 3-person situation and then they all end up together and it's just the 2 people that are still like, you know, I don't like that. But just cheating in general, I don't mind. So I'm gonna break it up with the I've done all romances so far. So this one's actually a mystery thriller, I guess. It is The Hunting Wives by May Cobb. This was so fun. Such a fun book. Like, seriously, if you are into mystery thrillers at all, or like rich people vibes, or like southern, like it's kind of like Housewives with a murderous twist, I guess. So we find out as the book goes along that one of the main wives in this little like fucked up cult type of like women's party is cheating on her husband with a kid, sorry, I won't say kid, but a guy who's a senior in high school, one of her son's friends. So that's interesting, but that's a part of why things turn so like deadly and murderous for this group. So this group is about rich housewives that are bored, whose husbands are just kind of always away, and there's a new girl that comes into town and she gets lured into this group. So they get together like once a week and like shoot their guns and drink profusely and like have a fun time. But meanwhile, they're all like kind of like shady and, you know, jealous, and I don't know. It was such a fun time. I would seriously highly recommend. I need to try more from this author, honestly, because this was just like the most fun time. Next book for this trope is a QB Tyler, and it is one of the more forbidden books that I've ever read, even just the premise. So love this cover. Like, how gorgeous is that? I just love that. Anyways, this is between our main girl, Charlotte, and her marriage counselor. So some of the scenes in this from that are so hot, but I will say that this jumps like immediately into the couple is in, I guess this could work for Marriage in Trouble too, but it doesn't end with them. So some of the scenes in this are like super forbidden and therefore super hot, because she's sitting there next to her husband and like lusting after the marriage counselor. Or they'll be like, they just had sex and then the husband comes in for their counseling session and it's like they just got, you know, done with their time together. So towards the end, of course, this gets really messy, really like dramatic and explosive. This is the first in a duet. I have not read the second one. I didn't feel like this ended on like a cliffhanger to where I needed to immediately read the second one, but I will eventually at some point. I think it's called Bittersweet addiction, maybe. But yeah, this is a good, fun, cheating romance. If that doesn't bother you and if you like QB Tyler's writing, I would recommend this one. I thought it was really fun. So next trope on my list is also one that I only found like one book for now anyway that I could talk about, and that's the trope is fake dating, and the book is The Love Hypothesis. Now, if you haven't heard of this book, I don't know what you've been doing or where you've been. It's so hype, but I will say that for me, this is really worth the hype. And I do not like fake dating, generally. Like, I won't blanket statement say that, I guess, but generally I'm like, okay, why are we doing this? Like, this reasoning is stupid and makes no sense. And I will say that the reason in this is stupid and makes no sense. But the way she wrote it, it's super fun, and like the banter is really cute. Ali Hazelwood does the whole like women in science, very like women positive in that field, and this is supposed to be like a Raylo fanfic. Now, I've never watched those. I have no idea what that even means, and you don't need to love and appreciate this book. I didn't get that at all. I don't know. But she does love the teeny tiny woman and the big man. But I will say, from this like cover, he looks like a dorky little guy, but I guess he's like really tall and like muscular. But yeah, this was really cute. If you like fake dating, recommend. I'm not gonna go into like the whole premise of it because literally there's a million videos probably about this. Last trope I'm gonna talk about is the soulmates trope. Now, I like this one, so I know that it can get really annoying though, because it's like, how are you just deciding that these two people or this thing and this person are soulmates? Like, where is this coming from? But is Ice Planet Barbarians by Ruby Dixon. Now, this is very much believable soulmates because they actually have this thing in their bodies called a qui that resonates when they see their mate. So, okay, if you're confused, this is between human girls or women that have been captured by evil aliens, and they're evil little green aliens, and their ship crashes on this ice planet, and those aliens leave these women in this ship on this ice planet. Now, our main character, Georgie, or Shorshi as he likes to call her, exits their ship to go and try to find like food or something. So and it's freezing, and she has like nothing like comparable or whatever to be in this frozen planet. So she runs into Vectel, which is our big hunky blue alien guy, and he is like, what is this weird creature with like, you know, she's tiny, she has no fur or hair on her, she's like, you know, and she wakes up, like she like passes out because he captures her in like a trap that he set for food for him to eat. So she's in his trap, and he's like, oh my god, like my qui is like resonating with her. Takes her back to like one of his little caves, and she wakes up to him eating her out. So I wouldn't say, like, because of the content of this, I would not say it's non-con. It might be a little bit like, you know, questionable con, questionable consent, but she's very into it, and she has to make the decision in this book between trying to get back home to Earth somehow and uprooting her life and the lives of her shipmates and staying on this ice planet with all of these barbarians. I don't know. This is like wild and super out of my comfort zone, but it was literally the last and final book or books that I want to talk about for the soulmates trope. And I just read these, and this is a recommendation actually from Cheyenne from That Tall Book Girl. So I don't have them individually, but I have the set. This is the Fisherman series by Jewel E. Ann. So first we have the Naked Fisherman, and then next we have the Lost Fisherman. So I'll just kind of quickly go over what they're about. So this is about our characters Reese, and the Naked Fisherman, his name is Fisher. So she kind of calls him the Naked Fisherman in her head because he's always like shirtless and whatnot. So Reese's mom went to prison for 5 years, and during those 5 years she kind of grew up with her very conservative religious grandparents. So she's gone to, she's a part of the church and everything. She's very like taken that into her personality and her morals and everything. So this is another virgin heroine. Wow. Anyways, so she is very sheltered, to say the least. So she comes to stay with her mom. Her mom's out of prison, so she comes to kind of try to reconnect and stay with her mom. And she's just graduated out of high school, so I think she's 18 at the start of this. And her mom, once she gets there, her mom's like, I have to go away for a month for work, and you're gonna stay with our landlord, you know, / roommate, Fisher. He lives upstairs, we live downstairs. We're friends, I trust him, la la la. So Fisher is very like cocky, arrogant. He sleeps around. So shocking to Reese, especially seeing him half naked all the time. So she also gets to work for him. So it's like forced proximity. Obviously they live together too. And you know, he tries his hardest to, like, you know, keep her at bay or whatever, but the bond that they form is unmatched. And I can't get into too much without spoiling it, but they are soulmates. And in the next book, something happens to where Fisher, it's like years in the future, they're not together. So in the first book, they do not end up together. They don't end up with other people or anything. They just don't end up together. He's like, you need to grow up and figure out what you want, find out what exactly your morals are and what exactly your beliefs are, where they lie, and, you know, live life, not just, you know, sacrifice everything for me because you think you love me. And she's like, okay. So she goes on like a mission trip with, you know, a friend. And then the second book, something happens to Fisher where he loses his memories. And at the time of the second book, he is engaged to somebody from the first book, and he completely does not remember anything about her. And he also does not remember anything about Reese. So this was really beautiful. They are soulmates. They fall in love in the first book, and they fall in love even after he's lost all of his memories, and, you know, they kind of fall in love again. And then we see what happens throughout that. Like I said, I won't spoil anything else, but I would highly recommend these books. They're really fast to get through. I read through them both, I think, in 2 days. I don't know. I loved it. I know some people have issues with the way that Reese, like her growing up, the way it affects how she treats her mom and what her mom's lifestyle choices are. But I thought that the author handled that situation very well and very realistically and with grace. I think that when you grow up a certain way and you're sheltered, it takes, you know, you have to come to terms with things. You have to either accept things or not. But it's a journey either way. And I thought that her journey was, like I said, realistic and well written, and I really loved it. So thank you, Cheyenne, for recommending these, because so good. All right, so that's it, guys. That's it for my tropes that I hate and books that I thought did it well. I hope you all like, comment, and subscribe for more content from me. I have a lot more planned for this channel, and I'm just so excited to see where everything is going. And until next time, bye.